Good morning. Okay. Outlier in the middle of the nowhere, because if you're coming up with some numbers from EU or Europe, we are almost never mentioned. No, that's why we are a kind of outlier. Let me know if you don't hear what I say. Okay, next slide. BC, not before the other guy, is before e-cigarettes. Before we get any laws, I'm just going to take a few numbers or how we have managed without having any laws on e-cigarettes. If anyone is frightened, you don't have to. Because in these years from 2014, we had 14% daily smokers. And 3 years or 4 years after that, we have 9%. What happened in the meantime? Well, we had already snus. We define it a little bit otherwise than the others, and that's why we can import it to Iceland. We define it as nasal, but we use it as snus. So, and we also had from 2012 to 2013, we had an increase in the vaping community, rather explosion. So we have 9% daily smokers, but 45% dual use, smoking and vaping. This is 40%. I think it's pretty good. 8.2% vaping daily. 50% of them have already quit smoking. Just to name the younger ones, because where the fright is most often in my society, as yours, we have only 2%. Well, the newest ones show less than 2% daily smoking of the kids under the age of 18. 2018, we have preliminary numbers from a deep throat from the Health Directorate. They were not, yes, everyone would let me have the numbers, but I have one that I always can get some numbers from. This is not published, but what we think is very interesting coming out from the newest numbers, presenting in the next days, in fact. Because we see between the ages of 18 to 34, we have double the more in this vaping, more than double the numbers than smoking. So we have really been declining in, I think you English-speaking people, sorry about my English, it's just my third to fourth language. So we really have a plummeting of these numbers, as you could say. We see with the older people, that's what I have a little worries about the older, above 40. We see the numbers, vapors more decline with age. So I think the technology, I would like to have very simple things with closed chambers and easy to buy, easy to fill, just refill it with new cartridge, if anyone is here. 3 more interesting things we see from the new numbers. This is just preliminary, but it's totally okay. 3 groups. The largest group is people who have quit smoking earlier on by vaping, and then they have quit vaping. This is the further largest group. That was a surprise to me and everyone else. The next largest group is vapers who have quit smoking but still vaping. And dual users, the third group, is decreasing fast. That's also a surprise, at least for me. That was the period before the e-cigarette. We haven't had any law, but a few days before I came here, yes, with many sleepless nights, we made a new law that's going to be in effect next year on the 1st of February next year. That's That's our kind of TPD variant. Here we can see also numbers from about the youth. You see 10 plus 15 to 16 years. Far on the left, on the right, you see 1.7. That's the highest smoking prevalence in the youth. This age group is the highest smoking in Iceland. 1.7 is daily smoking, 1.7%. The next one, the green one, is 10.1% vaping, but it includes also those who have been smoking before, 6.5%. A lot of kids have been testing smoking, but it doesn't increase the smoking prevalence. You see, only in 2015-16, it is 2.4, 2.7. It's declining, even though we have had the explosion of vaping in Iceland. The kids do what we adults do. So I'm not surprised to have a sudden impact or increase of the vaping. But I'm most satisfied with the low numbers in smoking, of course. That's where the diseases come from. This is just to show that in the last years, what probably lies behind. You know, we can't see any causation. Of course we can. There's nothing else happening. So I think we had snus, our Icelandic snus, 330% increase in these years. You see what they try with the taxation, 100% increase in the tax and 72% increase in the tax. But it's still increasing again after the slow points. These are numbers from 1979. This is official numbers from the total sale of the number of snus in Iceland. For the same years in sale of cigarettes, you see pause ban, point of sale ban, came in Iceland in 2001. Nothing happened. Even you can see a slight increase, but not significant. But you see what happened in 2008. What happened? We had snus. A little bit later we had vaping. Well, we didn't have anything else, except people still smoking. I saw a very interesting slide from FDA. Well, we see what they're doing. And they put up a slide of live years gained. And I did it for Iceland, from the numbers you saw before. In these 3 years, 3 or 4, we gained 120,000 live years. I think it's pretty good also. But remember, our country is only 350,000. That's why we are the outlier in Europe, never mentioned. So 120,000 years, alive years, sorry. I would be satisfied. I'm satisfied with that. To extrapolate over to USA, because they made a plan. They made a plan for 2100, 80 years, 80 years from now. We have almost the same numbers in 3 years. I think it's pretty good. If you're not convinced, we have to talk later. That's the plan from FDA, Scott Gottlieb and his people. As a result of FDA's potential nicotine reduction policy, well, that's passed. Another interesting thing, this is from a play in Iceland, a very popular play, played last year. And you see the PGs all over the floor. Propylene glycol. Industrial grade, sorry. So, but these are people lying dead after a burned house, not vaping, not smoking. But I think it symbolizes the people that stand still, not dying of vaping or smoking. In 2000, we had death rate prevalence of tobacco-related diseases per 100,000. Well, we're just an outlier because Sweden is any sweeter except Sicilia. They always say we got the lowest death rate, 152, Ramström. Well, we have talked. 152 per 100,000 people is the lowest death rate presented most often. We had in 2010, not 2000, we had already 123. But strange numbers in 2010, we have only 60 people per 100,000. So otherwise we have faulty algorithm. I think we have faulty algorithm. This is not happening just in 10 years for 50% decline in the death rate. But at least show some trend, a good trend. This is our new law, a special law made for 2 days. I just made it as an SMS, if I were sending an SMS to anyone. What's happened, what the laws are. We had a special law, not in the tobacco. Utmost importance. We threw it under the carpet last year because of that, among many other things. We could slice it a little bit down. Of course, it's legal over 18, 20 milligrams, everyone knows that. We are allowed to have ads, advertising, no brands, or not to the children, but we have advertising. So advertising visibility in tobacco, now in vape shops, and inside, of course. Flavors, they try to ban the flavors. We hold the flavors, but we ban names like Heavenly Kids or Heavenly Kids playing in the cloud or something stupid. So the stupid names, but we hold the flavors. And also not towards children or cartoon-like pictures on the packs. Restaurants is allowed, restaurants and companies, they decide for themselves if they want to ban or allow the vaping. And no limits on the tank and bottle sizes. Safety quality standards, I will look to UK for that. They have very nice rules, as you've probably seen before. And childproof lock. These are the positives. There's not so much to say about the negatives. General stores is a point of sale ban. In public areas, it's prohibited to vape. But not in public places outside of anything, like some countries are trying to do. Well, we can't put vitamins, including coffee and taurine. Chemicals, how much have I left? Okay. Chemicals, taurine, well, not stimulating chemicals. Well, I don't know about nicotine. I think it's going to be allowed. Including chemicals that increase absorption, mutations, or carcinogens. That's the description we have of cigarettes. You know that. A few hundred are added to the curing of tobacco. And this is not allowed in vaping, but it's allowed to be in cigarettes on the market. So, not in kindergarten. Sorry, I don't have any, probably not the right names. Not where children are. In primary schools, high school, doctors' offices, and hospitals. The UK are going to do that. Public transportation, and one very, very similar. But I think I like that to be in the laws, because that symbolizes the stupidity of those who made or tried to make the original. It's totally different from the original proposition or from the original bill.
Excuse me, Karl.
Cut. Paradox. Okay, I'll skip that. I have a beautiful picture in the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.